As Vincent said, I teach at Rikkyo University. And really quick, what I'm going to do today is talk about Google Classroom. I don't know how many of you have used it in the past. Hopefully, you're here because you want to find out about Google Classroom and if it's a right fit for you, if you can use it. So this is going to be kind of an overview of that. Last year in the spring, I didn't use Google Classroom. Rikkyo was all online. I didn't use it in the spring, but I did use it in the fall for all of my classes as my learning management system, and it worked really well. Okay, so what I'm going to do today, just a quick overview of what I'm going to talk about, is making and joining a class. So I'll be the teacher, you'll be the students in my Google Classroom, but there's a snag with this. For demonstration purposes, this only will work if you have a Gmail account. So I guess for security reasons, a student and a teacher have to be on the same domain. So I have a Rikkyo Gmail account, but assuming most of you aren't with Rikkyo, a student or a teacher at Rikkyo, the next best thing is going to be a Gmail account. Now, if you have a Gmail account with like co.jp or co.uk, it's probably not going to work. So if you have a Gmail account, you will be able to join as a student. If not, that's okay because I have a dummy account as a student, and I'll be able to show you my screen, what the student sees. So I'll switch to the student screen so you can see that. Okay, so B is the stream, classwork, students, and grades. These are the 4 categories, the 4 sections you'll see in a Google Classroom. I'll go over the topics and the assignments and how Google Suite comes into play. And this is mainly with Google Docs, Google Slides, and those are the main things, really. Also, using Google Classroom in a face-to-face, hybrid, blended learning situation, I want to just talk about a simple sort of specific tactic I use that I used last fall in my classes. And it can work in any of these situations. Maybe you have all face-to-face, maybe you have all online, or maybe you have a combination of the two. You have a textbook, and this is specifically for books, for classes where you have textbooks, you have handouts. So how can you use something like Google Classroom that's all online with the textbook? So what I kind of came up with, what I kind of figured out was just to give the students the choice. They can choose to do the textbook, they can choose to do it online. So maybe you have, right, like one type of class, another type of class, or them mixed together. If you give them that choice, they can do it online through Google Classroom, through a Google Doc, for example, or they can do it in their physical textbook. So to go over that, so the student choice model, I'll kind of preview this, and then I'm going to show you this, what it actually looks like in Google Classroom. Excuse me. So you have a handout, you have, maybe you have physical papers, you have the textbook. What you want to do is duplicate that. What is in the textbook, you want to duplicate that. You can, make your Word file, make a PDF, what have you. You upload that to the Google Class Drive, and then, all right, so if it's a Word, it can be a Word file PDF, which is usually what you have, right? When you upload a Word file to Google Drive, it automatically converts that to a Google Doc. If you have a PDF, that can be converted to a Google Doc, depending on how the PDF is set up. Sometimes that's pretty smooth, and sometimes you need to go in and tweak it a bit. So what is the choice? So let's say you have a class. Maybe, again, you have students in the classroom. Maybe you have students at home at the same time. This model works really well because it doesn't really matter where the student is. They can choose either one. So you give them an assignment, maybe it's the work you're doing in class. Maybe they choose to do it online, so they can complete that in Google Classroom. And you check that, you grade that in Google Classroom. But maybe they decide to do it in the real world on their textbook, on a handout. How do you grade that? How do you get that into Classroom? Well, they go to the next step, they take a photo of that. They just take pictures of their completed work, and then they upload that to Google Classroom, and then you can see it, and then you grade it. So let's, oops. Now I'm going to, hold on one second, let me get the right screen here. All right, so let's get to the classes. So this is my Google Classroom. And by the way, if you guys are wanting to participate with this, now is the time to go to, you can search for Google Classroom and be logged into your gmail.com account. If you're not, if you don't have a gmail.com account, I will be sharing, let's see, this screen. This is my dummy student account. So I'll be kind of like a student. So if you're in, for example, Gmail, you can, the 9 dots, that grid, this brings up all those Google apps, kind of the G Suite. And if you find, click on Classroom. Sometimes you have to scroll down a bit, but click on Classroom and that will bring it up. Okay, so this, again, this is the student screen, and I've got no classes here. So I'm going to switch back to my teacher screen, and I got no classes here. So let's make a class. So I'm going to create a class just for this presentation, and this will be EdTech 2021. You can put in more details, but I'm going to keep this as simple as I can. I hope I don't run out of time because there's a lot to get through. Even an overview, there's quite a bit of things you can go through. Okay, so just to back up real quick, there's my classroom screen. I've just got one class, so EdTech 2021. So this is the main screen, and like I said, there's 4 parts to a Google Class. You got Stream, Classwork, People, and Grades. I'll come back to these in a minute. Let's go to People. And by the way, guys, if you have questions, please ask. I'm kind of plowing through it a little fast, but please stop me and interrupt me, and I'll be glad to answer. So who's in this class? You see the teacher, that's me. There's students. You can click here, invite the students. I got all of my students on a list last fall for a class and just pasted them all in, mass invite, and they all got invited to the class. That's one way to do it. There's a lot of redundancy here. So there's another way. Here on this main splash stream, it says class code. So this is going to be the easiest way. Rather than me collect everybody's email, you guys can just enter this code in. How do you do that? Let me switch back to, so this is the student screen, right? So you want to join a class, and it will ask you for a class code. So let me go back here and copy that. I'm going to put this code into the chat. So the question, how does Google Classroom differ from other LMSs? That's a good question. I don't have a good answer for you. I used Blackboard. The kind of default system at Rikkyo is Blackboard, but they also give you a choice to use Google Classroom. I found Blackboard to be a little bit difficult to use and not nearly as intuitive as Google Classroom. So I just find Google Classroom a lot easier. I know there's other learning management systems like Moodle and whatnot, but I don't have any experience with that, sorry. I just personally find this easier to use than Blackboard. I had one post in Blackboard at the very beginning of the semester saying, we're not going to use Blackboard. Here's the link to Google Classroom. Is the class code a way to circumvent the Gmail account? I don't think so. Please try. Everybody, please try. I hope I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure you have to be on gmail.com, as in the American gmail.com domain. So if it's co.jp or co.uk or whatever, it's probably not going to work. I got 4 students. Excellent. And I'm also going to join as a student. You can click there and then click join. Excuse me. And it takes it a second, and then it will go in. So I have 5 students. Excellent. 6. Excellent. Oh, most of you are able to get on. That's great. All right, so moving on, we got to keep moving here. I'm going to go over just kind of an overview of what Google Classroom, the functions it has. So it starts, the main screen, the splash screen is the stream. It says you can communicate with your class here, and this is something where you can just post whatever, post comments, notifications. I use this for homework. This is a great way to, at the end of class, I would come here, say, okay, guys, next week's homework is blah, 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 and type it in here. That way, students can always come here and check what their homework is. Okay, so classwork. This is the main thing. This is the, by the way, everybody can see me, right? Yes, okay, good. Everybody can see this screen. Okay, so this is the main screen. Excuse me. This is where everything is going to be created. So this create button will bring up all of these sections. So the first thing you want to do is create topics, and these are kind of the modules or the sections. Rikkyo is a 14-week semester, so this is where I put in my weeks. So week 1, week 2, etc. And you can do this. Every new topic will just go at the top of the page. Another topic I put in is course materials, something like that, where I put in my syllabus and other things that the students can access easily.
Chris, sorry, just a quick interruption. I think your screen is frozen. If you are making updates, we can't see them.
Are you in the student view then? Yes.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm on. Geez, I need to go back. Okay, sorry guys. All right, so again, the stream is this where I put announcements on here. Hello, Louisa. Thank you for commenting. And then the classwork over here. Sorry, I had the create. Let me go back over this again. I had the create button here, and this is where I made these topics. And the topics are 1, week 2. I can make another topic, week 3. And these just go to the top of the screen. And the topics you can drag around to reorganize them. Notice on the left, there's a little index, and this is pretty handy because the screen gets really full by the end of the semester. All right, I'm going to put you guys to work. Let's start with an assignment. So this is kind of the meat and potatoes of Google Classroom. You're always going to be making a lot of assignments. So I'm going to have you guys write. I'm going to give you guys some homework. Write a sentence with your name and favorite food. Okay, so that you can write a description. Down below here, this is where you can add and attach a file from your Google Drive. Maybe something you just worked on recently. You can link to something. You can attach a file from your computer. What I used this mostly was for here, this create. And here's where you can create a new Google Doc, a form, a slide, sheets, etc. So I used a lot of Google Docs. And what this will do when you make one of these, it pops up in a new window, new tab. And then you get a blank doc, and then I'll say favorite food. Make it look a little nice, give it a title, something like that. I like to put in, when you click in Google Docs, when you click that untitled document, whatever the first thing you write in will make it the title. I like to put in a little table of 1 that just gives you a nice, neat field so students can enter things in. You guys can you guys see my screen? See this favorite food on a Google Doc? Okay. Hopefully everybody will be able to see that. Okay, so that's done. It's saved in the cloud, so I can just close that out, and I go back to my assignment screen. So this right here, this will pop up, and this is really, really important, these three choices. Students can view file, but they can't edit it. This is great when you want to put up like a syllabus, something you don't want them to change. Students can edit file. That means it's the same file that everybody can write on, or everybody can change, but it's only the one single file. And sometimes that's useful in class for activities in class. But usually when it's individual work, you want to make a copy for each student. So you click that. Over here on the right, here's where you have points. You want to make this points. It can be ungraded. I'll make this, say, 20 points. You can do a due date. This is great for homework, so you'll know if it's late or not. I'm going to skip going over that. You can choose the topic. I made all those topics. I want to put this in week 1. This is what we just did. And this is a really good one, is the rubric. So for each assignment, you can make a rubric for grading. So let's create a quick, simple rubric. The students can edit for a whole collaboration. Yes. So the question was, can everybody edit if it's students can edit? Yes. I use it sometimes, like when I had group class collaboration on a project, and you could share the screen, and that worked pretty well. Okay, so these rubrics, these grading rubrics, this you can do. You can customize this completely. So if I have one criterion, let's say it's spelling. I'm going to make this really simple. You can describe it, and students can see all of this. So I can say this grade is 10 points, 5 points, 1 point, and you can describe that. Excellent, so. Yeah, et cetera, and then I add another criterion. This is creativity, and you can do the same thing. Add in your points, something like that. Okay, so that's 20 points. I'm going to save that. Okay, so this rubric, you see that's 20 points, and the points you put in here, I like to keep that the same, just so it's easier. If you change this number, maybe it's 40 or maybe 35 or whatever, Google it'll do the math and adjust that accordingly. So these don't necessarily have to match. Okay, I've given you guys an assignment. It should pop up. You can refresh your screen. I'm going to go back to my student. If a file per student, okay, a question is it possible, sorry, to change from student view? I'm getting a couple of questions here. So if a file per student has been picked as the option, would it be possible to make all documents available to all members of class? Not really. I mean, there's screens where you can share your screen, kind of like what I'm doing now. And when you do the grading, you can share a screen that does sort of like that. Is it possible to change student can view to make a copy for each student after assignment? Yeah, no. I think if I'm understanding that question correct, once you make an assignment, you can't change that setting. So I've made a mistake with that a few times, and I had to actually just go back and start from scratch with the assignment. Okay, so let me go back here. This is my student view. I hope you guys can see that. So I'm in the classwork, and the students see, maybe I need to reload that. we're coming up. I think we are running out of time. I thought what would happen. Okay, so the students can see this assignment here. Small name and food. So I'm just going to not do a good job with this. I'm just put like this. And no, that's odd. Always learning something new. Okay, so I've done a little bit. There's my answer. It's not a good one, but that's what I'm going to turn in. So if I go to, sorry, back to the screen. So as a students, you guys I want you to turn in your assignment. And there's this button at the top right that says turn in, and that will bring up yet another screen. And there's another one in blue, turn in. And yet again, Google likes to do things, have things in triplicate, double and triplicate. So then that's turned in. Now, I'm going to switch back to my teacher screen. So what do I see as a teacher? How many of you guys have turned in? Oh, I got 3. So I've got 3 of you who have turned it in. 9 of you, I assigned it, but you haven't turned it in. So when I click on this turned in, it brings up this screen. Okay, Aldo and Chris, that's me. Louisa, Tokyo, I guess that's Vincent. So you guys have gotten these scores, and these, it says assigned. I haven't gotten it from you guys yet. Okay, so whatever you've got, just turn it in. It doesn't matter. So this is the student work screen, and from here, you click it one more time, click on any of those assignments, and it brings up the grading screen. And this is the best screen. This is the best maybe feature of the entirety of Google Classroom, because you have all of the students' materials right here, all of their things here. I got their name. I can go in. I can make a comment. And that rubric I just made, well, it's right here. And I can just say, oh, spelling 10 out of 10, great. So creativity, it's okay. You give their score, hit this button, next, go to the next student. And you can kind of go through student by student, and this makes grading really, really good, really, really fast. It is like turn it in. Someone said the grading system's like turn it in. It is similar to that. I honestly didn't use turn it in all that much, but this works really well. Okay, I'm running out of time here, but I want to go over one more thing, and that is, let's see. Okay, this is my Rikkyo account. So this is my Rikkyo classes. Okay, good. Someone mentioned MS Teams. I did not use that, so I'm glad to get, you said maybe easier than MS Teams. I haven't used that before. So these are some of my upcoming classes this spring, but last fall, this is an old class I had. So I'll show you just kind of what this looks like. This was after the end. This is at the end. I've completed all 14 weeks. And you can see it just scrolls down, down, down week. Everything I did was all in here. Let me point out, so the class materials, course materials, I had my syllabus in here. I had instructions, the things that I'm going over now in this FD, I actually put them in instructions. There's a ton of YouTube videos that can explain these kinds of things. I found some good examples of those and put them up. So that's the kind of thing you can use for class materials. Does Google Classroom keep attendance? Not natively, but there is a kind of hack for this. I'll go over that real quick. What you do, you can see week 12 attendance. And what this is I didn't go over quizzes. So you can make quizzes. you make a quiz for attendance. You make one of these every week, and the quiz is one question. Click yes to be marked present. So the student clicks yes, and they turn it in, and it's treated as a quiz in the system, but you know it's not a quiz, it's the attendance. That way you have a good way to keep track of that, and that worked pretty well. So week 12 textbook activities. So going back to what I talked about before, giving students the choice, they can do it online, they could do it in the textbook. So this is what it typically would look like. So I would make my version of the textbook. This is my digital version. I would make something like this every week. And so that was the Google Doc. So I gave them the choice. Okay, guys, you have the textbook. You can write your answers here on the Google Doc. So what I did, this is my previous class. This is all over and done with. And you can see this grading screen. And you notice the student did not use the Google Doc, but he used his phone and took a picture and uploaded the pictures. So you see the student's finished work here. And just as I can make a comment, like I make a comment on the Google Doc, of course, but with the, with this, you can actually make a comment. You can highlight something and make a comment, say, are you sure, or whatever. You want to do that. There's also a comment bank, so you can actually go through. For a reading and writing class, this was really good because I have a ton of comments. You make the same corrections and the same feedback again and again, so you can put it in a bank and it saves it, so you can copy and paste it in. And okay, so that's about all the time that I've got. I was trying to think what else I could fit in. But yeah, there's a ton of, the good thing about Google Classroom is there's just a ton of materials you can look up online. YouTube videos, you can spend days and days watching tutorials and whatnot. Yeah, that is a very basic sort of overview. I go for another half hour with all the features that it has, but so I'm going to stop. Does anybody have any, I'm going to stop my share actually. Does anybody have any questions?